Amidst the packed crowd and the roar of international media, Zhang Linghe emerged with an aura that was hard to ignore. Her presence at Gucci Cruise 2027 in New York was not just an honored invitation, but a visual statement of how the Asian entertainment industry now stands on equal footing on the global stage. Every camera focused on her seemed to be vying for the same thing, an elegant poise amidst the chaos of the spotlight. The neon lights of Times Square, which usually dominate the view, instead felt like a deliberate backdrop created to emphasize her presence. As she stepped further into the main runway area, the atmosphere intensified, as if the entire New York streetscape had realized that this was no ordinary night. There was something different about the way she carried herself, something that couldn't be induced by trends or styling alone. Social media reacted almost instantly. Video clips from various angles began appearing on Weibo, X, Instagram, and even TikTok. Within minutes, her name dominated the global conversation. Not only longtime fans, but also viewers who had not previously followed the Asian entertainment world began to wonder who could attract such attention with just one appearance. Behind the spotlight, Gucci Cruise 2027 itself was already known as one of the most ambitious fashion shows of the year. But that night, the collection on display seemed to be part of a larger story, how one individual can change the atmosphere of an event simply by their presence. Every detail on the stage, every camera flash, and every step the models took seemed connected to the momentum created by the energy in the guest row. As she sat in the front row, the atmosphere around her shifted subtly but surely. Photographers began to focus longer than usual, as if afraid of missing a small moment that could go viral in a matter of seconds. Even without making any exaggerated movements, her calm expression was enough to create a powerful visual narrative across various platforms. On the other side of the digital world, fans began piecing together fragments of the moment into one larger story. Video compilations, slow-motion footage, and screenshots began to circulate widely. Many noted how she didn't try to steal the spotlight, but rather that the attention naturally gravitated to her. This phenomenon fueled discussion about her presence. Several international fashion critics began discussing how the show signaled a significant shift in the global fashion industry. The presence of figures like Zhang Linghe is seen as a symbol of how Asian pop culture is no longer on the fringes, but has become a core part of the global fashion conversation. Gucci Cruise 2027 has become more than just a fashion show. Amidst the flurry of comments, one word that keeps coming up is charisma. Many struggled to technically explain what made her so compelling that night. It wasn't just the clothes, the lighting, but a subtle combination of attitude, confidence, and poise that's difficult to describe in simple words. When the camera returned to her face in close-up, her expression remained consistent. There were no exaggerated gestures, no attempts to seek attention. Yet, it was precisely in that simplicity that many felt the most powerful attraction was found. The digital world became increasingly abuzz with interpretations of the moment. On fan forums, the discussion grew more expansive. Some compared her looks at previous shows, others highlighted her career development, and still others discussed how her appearance in New York marked a new chapter in her global exposure. All of the conversations revolved around one common theme: how one night could change perceptions of so many. Meanwhile, from the entertainment industry's perspective, this appearance was considered a pivotal moment in the relationship between film, fashion, and global media. There were no longer any clear boundaries between actors, fashion icons, and pop culture figures. They all merged on the same grand stage. As the main Gucci Cruise 2027 show progressed, the camera's focus occasionally returned to her among the other prominent guests. Each time, the online audience's reaction intensified. It was as if an invisible magnet kept drawing the public's attention back to the same point in the frame. Toward the end of the event, the atmosphere began to subside on the set, but not online. Zhang Linghe's name continued to trend on various platforms, with millions of interactions accumulating. Moments that initially lasted only a few seconds had now become global topics of conversation that outlived the event itself. Many observers have called this the power of the digital age. A moment can transcend time and space simply because of the right visual resonance. And in this case, All the elements seemed to converge at a perfect point, creating a domino effect that was impossible to stop. When the night in New York finally ended, what remained was not just a record of the fashion show, but also a digital footprint that will continue to be replayed, discussed, and analyzed. Gucci Cruise 2027 may be remembered as one of the most extravagant shows, but for many, the ultimate memory of the night is already clearly written in the one name that keeps flashing across their screens. And behind it all, the real story may not be about one event, but about how a single presence can change the way the world perceives a moment. Amidst the lights of Times Square and the roar of cameras, a new narrative of poise, charisma, and global influence emerged that was no longer limited by national or industry boundaries. The night didn't truly end when the lights went down. It lives on in short clips, commentary, analysis, and endless conversations around the world. And at the center of it all, one figure remains a constant point of reference, someone who appeared effortlessly, yet still left an indelible mark. But the story didn't stop on phone screens and media headlines. Hours after the event ended, clips that had initially circulated spontaneously began to be recurated by international entertainment accounts, forming a new, more structured narrative about how one night in New York could transform into a global phenomenon in a short time. In European fashion media, the discussion shifted from the Gucci Cruise 2027 collection to how the energy of an event can drastically change when a public figure with global appeal attends. Zhang Linghe's name resurfaced in editorial analyses discussing the shifting focus in the modern entertainment industry. Meanwhile, in Asia, particularly on fan community platforms, the atmosphere grew even more intense. Every tiny detail of the evening was reanalyzed, from camera angles to the reactions of onlookers, to moments of silence that might have previously gone unnoticed. All of this took on new meaning after becoming part of a global phenomenon. On the fashion industry side, some observers began to see the long-term impact of this presence. They believe that collaboration between film and fashion is no longer merely symbolic, but has become a key strategy for building global relevance. Gucci Cruise 2027 is considered one of the clearest examples of this transformation. Furthermore, discussions about the influence of celebrities on brand perception have also resurfaced. Many argue that viral moments like this are no longer coincidences, but rather the result of an interconnected media ecosystem where a single expression, a single gesture, or even a single look can become the subject of international discussion. A few days after the event, various fashion magazines began publishing dedicated articles reviewing the entire fashion show. Interestingly, however, much of the discussion focused not solely on the clothing designs, but rather on how the atmosphere of the event felt different compared to previous years. Behind the scenes, photographers and media crews in attendance also began sharing their experiences. Many noted that there were specific moments where the entire room's attention seemed to be drawn to a single point without any instruction, creating a dynamic rarely seen at such a large event. This phenomenon has sparked a broader discussion about how the digital age has changed the way people consume public moments. No longer simply attending and watching, but recording, sharing, and reconstructing reality in the form of visual fragments that live on online. Ultimately, what happened in Times Square that night could no longer be defined as a mere fashion show or a celebrity front-row appearance. It had evolved into a case study of how charisma, media, and digital culture converge in a moment that's hard to replicate, leaving a trail that will continue to be talked about long after the stage lights have gone down.